After yesterday's sunny hot tubs in Druskininkai, we drove just 10 minutes and suddenly ran into barbed wire, guard towers and heavy iron gates. Welcome to Grutas Park, the strangest place I've ever stepped into. This isn't your usual museum. It's 20 hectares of quiet Lithuanian forest turned into an open-air gallery of giants from the Soviet era. So how did all this end up here, in the woods near Druskininkai? It all started right after Lithuania regained independence in 1990 to 91. All those huge Soviet statues, Lenin's, Stalin, Marx, were taken down from squares across the country and left to rot in warehouses or junkyards. Nobody really knew what to do with them. Destroy them? Hide them? Just forget? In 1998, the Ministry of Culture announced a tender for ideas. Most proposals needed government funding. But one person, not a politician, but a local businessman who made his money exporting Lithuanian forest goods, mushrooms, berries, the whole forest harvest thing, the so-called mushroom magnate, Viljumas Malinauskas, said, "Give them all to me. I'll build a private park and I won't take a single cent from the state." He won exactly because he could pay for everything himself from his family business. Work started in early 1999. The park officially opened on April 1st, 2001. Yes, April Fool's Day. And for this bold and ironic idea, Malinauskas and Grutas Park received the Ig Nobel Peace Prize that same year. Now everything stands here among the trees, looking completely different from how it looked back on the main squares of cities. And now let's stop here, along the paths. These are the freight cars standing quietly, the ones people used to call cattle cars. There are two in the park, one right at the entrance and the second deeper in the woods, parked together with an old locomotive. They look rusty and long forgotten, but they carry the heaviest part of the whole story here. These aren't just ordinary freight cars. They're almost exact copies of the ones used in the 1940s and 1950s to take tens of thousands of Lithuanians away. Picture this: a knock on the door at night, NKVD. You get 20 to 30 minutes to pack, then your whole family, neighbours, children, grandparents, everyone is herded into these windowless boxes on wheels. The deportation operations had innocent-sounding names: spring, wave, autumn, no seats inside, no toilet, just a bucket in the corner if you're lucky. Almost no light, only thin cracks in the walls. People were packed so tightly that you couldn't even sit properly. Food? A piece of bread and some water if the guards remembered to give it. The journey lasted weeks, sometimes a month or longer, halfway across the continent to Siberia or Kazakhstan. People died on the way, from thirst, heat in summer, cold in winter, illness. Babies, old people, many never made it to the end. Malinauskas originally wanted to recreate the full experience. Bring tourists from Vilnius here in real deportation cars, with actors playing guards, barbed wire all around. The authorities said no, too harsh. But he still placed these wagons here as silent reminders. Why keep them and show them? Because forgetting would be the real crime. Through trains like these, Lithuania lost more than 300,000 people. Families torn apart, the best of the nation taken away. Intellectuals, farmers, teachers, priests, anyone seen as a threat. The goal wasn't just punishment, it was to break the spirit of an entire country and leave it without a future. Standing next to this wagon, you feel how heavy it is. These iron boxes carried real people to lifelong exile with no right to return. And yet, here we are, free, and we can simply walk away. That's why this park hits so hard. It doesn't glorify the past. It just makes sure we remember it, so it never happens again. As you walk along the paths, you come across 3 large wooden huts. Simple, low buildings that look like old barracks or village houses from those times. You step into one, and it's quiet inside, a little stuffy. There's a smell of old paper and faded ink. The walls are covered with posters: Peace, Labour, May, old newspapers, portraits of workers who overfulfilled the plan. On the shelves are pioneer scarves, red flags, badges, even a carpet with Lenin's face. In the corner sit old phones and teletypes, as if they might still ring with an order from somewhere far away. Everything here feels small and everyday. The kind of things that used to hang in schools, clubs, or people's homes. It wasn't just big statues on squares. This kind of propaganda was everywhere, part of daily life. Now it's all gathered in these wooden rooms under dim light, without crowds or speeches. Just quiet objects that once tried to tell everyone what to think. You look around, walk through, and quietly close the door behind you. As you walk further along these forest paths, you start noticing the statues one by one. None of them are random. Each one was brought here from a real place in Lithuania. From central squares, parks, factory courtyards, or schools. After independence, local authorities took them down fairly quickly. Vilnius, Kaunas, Klaipėda, Šiauliai, small towns. Everywhere they removed these heroes. Instead of smashing or melting them down, they were all brought here to the woods near Druskininkai and left without their pedestals. The first one you meet is the tallest Lenin in the park. 6 meters of bronze, arms crossed, gaze straight ahead. He stood on Lukiškės Square in Vilnius from 1952. Right in the center of the capital, people walked past him every day. In 1991, he was pulled down, one of the symbols of change. Now he stands among the pines, moss already creeping up his coat. You come close, and he suddenly seems much smaller than he looked on the square. A bit further on is the only full-size Stalin statue left in Lithuania. After 1956, when the cult of personality started being condemned, almost all his monuments across the Soviet Union were destroyed. This one somehow survived. You look at him, and those wagons we saw at the entrance come to mind again. Nearby, there's a large bust of Karl Marx, 4 meters tall, beard flowing, serious face. Now branches partially cover him, as if he just wandered in here by mistake. But most of the statues aren't world-famous figures, they're local Lithuanian communists. Their names are mostly known only here. Vinkas Mikevičius Kapsukas, one of the founders of the Lithuanian Communist Party. His monument was in Vilnius or Kaunas. Zigmas Angarietis, from some district centre. Karolis Didžiulis, Felixas Baltušys Žemaitis. These stood in Šiauliai, Panevėžys, or even in village centres. Their busts are lined up along the paths, row after row, many smaller, more intimate, probably from school hallways or district committee buildings. Next to each one, there's a plaque with an old photo, where it stood before, what the place looked like back then. Now it's quiet all around. Sometimes a squirrel runs by or a tourist passes. There's also Felix Dzerzhinsky, the founder of the Cheka. In this setting, with the guard towers and barbed wire, he looks especially out of place. Even along highways, there used to be big Mother Lithuania figures in Soviet style. One of them was brought here too. Walking the full loop, 3 kilometers, feels like slowly flipping when you walk along these forest paths and pass dozens of stern faces, granite ones, bronze ones, sooner or later the question comes up: why keep all this? Lithuania fought so hard for freedom. Why not smash these monuments, melt them down, or hide them away like a bad dream? The answer is straightforward. If they had been destroyed, the full scale would have been lost. Many in the West might have thought, well, it was bad, like in East Germany or Poland, unpleasant but not that catastrophic. But here in Grutas Park, you can see just how deeply Soviet power got into everyday life in Lithuania. For a lot of Europeans or Americans, the period from 1940 to 1990 is just a couple of lines in a textbook under Cold War. Here the statues stand and show. This wasn't something far away. It was in every city, every courtyard. Look around. These Lenins, Stalin, Dzerzhinsky, and local party figures like Sniečkus or Palekis, they used to stand on central squares, in parks, in front of schools. It wasn't decoration. It was a constant reminder. We're here forever. Few Western tourists can really imagine how widespread it all was. Lithuania chose not to hide it, but to show it. The best way to take power away from these symbols was to take them off their pedestals. Viliumas Malinauskas understood that. He didn't build the park to glorify anything. He wanted the truth to be visible. Now they stand here, overgrown with moss, next to swings and peacocks, and they look completely different. The message is clear. We outlived you. We outlasted you. And now anyone can come and see who you really were. Here's Stalin, the only full statue that survived in the country. Here's Marx and dozens of local Lithuanian communists who took part in the deportations. This was an attempt to build paradise through the barbed wire we saw at the beginning. For Lithuanians, coming here is a way to process the past. You can climb onto Stalin's shoulder, touch Lenin's nose, laugh at how absurd it all is, and in that laughter, let go of some of the weight. Today, these statues serve a different purpose. Lithuania put its past on full display so no one can say it didn't happen or it wasn't that bad. In this forest, fear has turned into a reminder. You stand among these silent figures and realize freedom isn't just independence on paper. It's the ability to come here, look them in the eye, and walk away calmly. And just when you think things couldn't get more surreal, the path turns, and suddenly you're right in the middle of a children's playground. Bright yellow boat-shaped swings, a slide, a sandbox. Kids are running around, playing, laughing. It's not by chance. Lithuania didn't hide the past away in some quiet, sterile museum. She placed it right next to everyday life, next to laughter, ice cream, family photos. The playground doesn't mock what came before, it just keeps going. Kids swing and slide in the shadow of figures that once frightened their grandparents. Next to the playground stands an old Soviet bus, rusty, faded red, cracked windows. It looks like it drove straight out of the 1980s and decided to stay. Tourists take selfies inside, kids pretend it's a spaceship. This isn't a classic museum with "do not touch" signs. It's a place where history has become just background for a picnic. You can step into the cafe styled like the 80s, have tea from a faceted glass, eat something nostalgic from an aluminum bowl. Some call it kitsch. To me, it's just unusual. You don't see this every day. And then you hear it before you see it, the sharp cry of a peacock. These birds walk around like they own the place, loud and dramatic. There's actually a small zoo here, llamas chewing grass, ostriches stretching their necks, even white peacocks and a white kangaroo. And a very friendly donkey who somehow hangs out with black pigs. This whole incredible mix, children's slides, rusty bus, screaming peacocks, granite giants, is what makes Grutas Park so unforgettable. It's not a gloomy memorial, it's a living contradiction. You leave feeling strangely light, even though you've thought about serious things. As we drive away from the gates, the sun is already low, turning the pines golden. The heaviness from the wagons and statues slowly fades. Tomorrow we're switching completely, heading to a concert. From the past to right now. Carpe diem, seize the day. Live fully in the present, but keep a little map in your pocket of where you've been. Only then does the present feel truly sweet. Thanks for walking through Grutas Park with me. If this stirred something in you, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. The next adventure is already calling. See you there.